Bing, bing, bang. Here we are. It is Thursday, and it's the Modern Scrum. And Matt was in first. And Matt, how are things going with you?
See, very good. Yesterday I started working on another ticket on website one.
Mm-hmm.
Disabled people logging out so they don't get an error.
Right.
And I think that's about it. I tried out your test wiki, editing a page with a visual editor, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. Other than that, tomorrow I'm talking with Craft Academy. So if you have any other things like that, I'd gladly do them.
Sure. Yeah. You shared the list, and that looks like a really great overview for that talk. So
I think that's it. I'm not blocked on anything.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we might briefly talk about what's that one again at the end. Yeah. Let's go on in the meantime. Great to hear you're not blocked. Pat, how are things going with you?
Good. So what have I been doing? I've been working a little bit on Met+. I have a meeting with the client in 20 minutes to go through how to use a feature that he said he needed to get going in production.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we get that done. I hear from Hugh that he's actually going through the list of outstanding stories in a spreadsheet format and kind of reordering things. So we'll see how that goes. On the wiki, NHS wiki, I did take a look at the self-hosted wiki version and made a few comments in the spreadsheet. I think if I'm going to continue with that, it'd be good if I had admin privileges so I could investigate installing the extensions that we talked about in terms of meeting our requirements. And I'll also start to look at the, what was the other one that you alerted us to this morning that you actually got back to?
My wikis.
Visual editor?
Yeah, they fixed their visual editor and got me back logged into the system again. And yeah, their pricing looks, if they can actually deliver, their pricing looks reasonably attractive. But yeah, so I've said to them, can we have a demo separate instance for ourselves? I guess we might have to actually just pay them to get a trial of something. But yeah.
Well, I requested a demo access according to their instructions on their website. It'd be good if we both had the same instance, demo instance, or I guess it's all just one thing. Maybe
at the moment, what they're providing is just a single demo sandbox that everybody has access to.
For everybody,
that's what I had access to. So the next stage will be. I have a feeling that in order to get our own, separate playground, it would actually cost us money. But we'll see. I've got that question outstanding to them. So
okay, and then maybe we'd give discounts for nonprofits. I don't know. NHS would be considered. Well, it's government.
Well, so we're hiring them, so it's kind of actually that's an interesting area where the NHS is hiring the charity, and we're doing this work for NHS on the basis that the objective is, kind of like charitable. Like the NHS is trying to support the charity sector through this because their social prescribing is actually sort of recommending patients who might make use of charities like Mind, Age Concern, all these things, and there's kind of a synergy thing there. So I mean, again, on the legal side, I was pursuing could we get pro bono because we're the charity. When it comes down to being, I went for it in terms of speed and also for the NHS, like doing the terms and conditions. It's obvious that this is for the government website. So there, fair enough. In terms of the hosting and supporting it, like the actual system will ultimately be supporting. It'll be open to the whole charity and voluntary sector to add things to the system and so on. So I think there's an argument that it's a public service in that regard. So we'll see. That'll be up for individual hosting providers to say those. Although interestingly, I mean ironically, the amount that MyWiki's charges is not dissimilar from the amount that it would just cost us to host it ourselves. So we haven't got very large profit margins there, and
Well, I'm sure they don't, but I couldn't see the pricing model really taking into account number of users or the amount of space you want to consume with uploaded files.
They say that all of their models are unlimited in terms of number of users and space and so on.
That's okay.
But I think that's something for us to investigate. It's yeah.
We don't have any projection on number of users, right, from the NHS guys?
No, not really. I mean, I think they're just trying this out and see that they want it to be, hundreds of maybe even thousands
universal.
of people. But whether it will get there is what I have done is I've established a fairly clear thing with them that if it does take off, I'm going to need to go back to them for more money, and they're like, okay, so that's I have that understanding with what they've contracted us for is limited in terms of the amount of activity and users that it can support.
Okay. Yeah, that will drive the moderation group cost as well, certainly.
Yeah.
That's probably the main determinant on our cost for that. Okay. Well, we'll see when they get back to me on demo access. I can get in there and poke around a little bit.
Yeah. Anything else to report?
No blockers. Yep.
All right. Update from me, maybe in order this time. Yeah, Elixir mod yesterday went well. I was then off. I think I made some progress on wikis and things yesterday. I was then off for a thing at my event at my kids' school for 3 hours, and but then this morning, I've been sort of reviewing wikis again. There's another blog draft that I put into the NHS Wiki channel, which shows me where I've got to there. I'm kind of trying to work out the schedule for these. The soft launch, which is Thursday next week, and the hard launch, which is Friday the following week. Trying to get that all into play and get all the pieces. I'm kind of going a bit nuts with the different, dealing with the payments and trying to see all the stakeholders. And anyway, what we have done is we've established these training days that we're going to do with the NHS, and I'm reaching out to these other stakeholders in this broader cloud of people to be doing more outreach and demoing to them in the following week. So that's all going to start from May the 8th, and we'll see how that goes. And what I've started to do, the main thing I've started working on this morning is trying to prepare effectively the training session that I'm going to give Tuesday to take the core HLP staff through, and possibly one of our moderators through using the wiki system and then moderating on the wiki system, and kind of so what I'm the long and the short of it is I'm using what needs to go into the training to make it all work to drive the particular technical things that we have to have set up at the different dates based upon release this, that, and the other. And I'm kind of poking around and investigating things. So yeah, that's the state of play of that. I can give you admin access to our Azure thing. There's, I guess, the interesting thing there, differently from Heroku, where if one sets a variable wrong, we can roll it back and so on, whatever. There's no, I think we've got no history or rollback supported there. So maybe that's, if we're going to start doing that, we might look at that together, just to make sure we don't step on each other's toes in that regard.
Well, you're gonna have to have those installed anyway for your demo, right? Like moderation and notification and things like those extensions. I would assume.
Yes. I mean, the interesting question is, and maybe this is we should we'll finish the Scrum and talk about is about which extensions are actually needed to support, and that's yeah. I mean, if you want to catch up, I mean, I've got other things coming up. We've got the marketing meeting coming up in 18 minutes. Maybe after the marketing meeting and after your meeting with Chet, Pat, we could connect again to kind of go through some of these things.
Well, unfortunately, this morning is tough for me. I got the meeting with Chet, then I got to take off.
Okay. Well, don't worry.
Away from
maybe
Bolger.
What I will try and do is continue to write up the trade-off between these different things, because it's, for example, I think out of the box, in principle, we have email notifications, right? And we can adjust how they work. So it could be that those would be sufficient for just keeping tabs on changes rather than an explicit moderation framework where people actually have their proposed changes approved. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think the nexus it comes back to who do we allow to create accounts? And I mean, the kind of agreement that I've got from the NHS people is that there will be approved people, like the core staff team, and gradually increasing circle of people who are just going to be approved people who can make any edits they want. And the moderation should be focused on those people who are new and unsure. And kind of what we want, ideally, I guess, is you know, restrictions on people to begin with that gradually get loosened over time. And yes, that there are like there's a moderation package plugin. The question is, how much of that, like if it's really easy to use and install, let's do it, and the workflow works well for us. But we kind of need to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's lots of ways. But if you're around, I will keep writing up these different things, and we'll see if there's a chance for you and I. The next time that we get to connect, I can. Yeah, I guess if you want me to just give you the access, and you have a tinker around with it later on, I think what we need to do is just let each other know that we're in there, because there's a danger of us both being logged in at the same time and editing the same file and saving it over the top of each other and getting confused, and that's what I'm looking to avoid. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't need admin access at this point. If you don't actually need those extensions for your soft launch, then and you can talk about it theoretically, that's okay. I can start looking at my wiki. I don't know if the demo environment has extensions enabled or not. I'll have to poke around.
Yeah, I guess what I'm almost tempted to do, because it was so easy to generate the thing using Bitnami Azure, is set up a staging and develop instance, and actually maybe create a separate instance for you where you can completely play around with it. And then that's kind of, we've got one as a complete, I think that maybe that's the thing for me to do, is set up that pipeline. So I've got, the instance that I'm going to use for the demos and training on next Tuesday is separate from where initial experiments are being done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I guess we could do that, but the thing is, since I have limited time and you have limited time, I want to do things that support what you need to do for the NHS people, as opposed to just experimenting into something that we may or may not even need next week. You know what I mean?
That's the
very precious time here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But we were in the situation, for example, that there's this moderation package, right? Sounds like it could be good for us, but we need to experiment with it to find out exactly, one, if it works, two, what it can do, and then if we can use it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. So if that's a critical thing, we probably should.
It's definitely worth experimenting with. Go on.
We should probably maintain a to-do list of prioritized items that we need to.
Yeah, and I've got this. What I've just been doing is I've got this little thing here, which maybe I'll put this into a spreadsheet and share it. Is I've been just working out like this. I've actually been adjusting estimates in terms of how hard or easy something is to do. What we also need is the estimate of how how critical this is in terms of needed by which date when. So this was you see the kind of thing there. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put that into a spreadsheet so that we can categorize them along a couple of dimensions, in terms of difficulty and in terms of priority, and then we can coordinate in that fashion.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah, because I'm just flailing a little bit now, just poking at things and reading about documentation, etc. I don't really have a plan, so
no, we need to start that. I mean, it's almost. I wonder, is it almost worth putting it into a Pivotal or a Trello? Probably not really.
I wouldn't bother. I think just adding maybe a sheet to the existing spreadsheet.
Yeah, that sounds like a
something like that. Something simple.
I mean, cool. I'm gonna just check. This isn't something from my son's school. Hold on. Hello. Hello. Speaking. Oh yeah. Sorry. Oh, please, never, ever call this number again. Thank you. Gosh, these junk calls. Sorry about that. Right. I hear you've been involved in a car accident that wasn't your fault. It's like, oh, here we go. But you have to take these calls because it might be your son's school saying that he's fallen down. Anyway, yeah. So I think that covers it. Yeah, I'm going to go into the what's it called now? Yeah, the marketing meeting and try and get some other things sorted out. We've got great, and I'll as soon as I've got this thing in the spreadsheet set up, I'll post it in the NHS Wiki channel, and you can check it out. Check it out there.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, great. Oh well, and that's Scrum. I guess just coordinating on the website one there, Matt. So like is that fixed now for the well, gosh, what is it called?
I think it's complete.
Is it actually it's all done within the single pull request now? There was some talk of like a second ticket and having that ticket voted on like continuing the work in the second ticket, but you think it's
and all of a sudden my all my commits showed up.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was
right. And so that
you see that in production, I guess. And
yeah, right.
As long as it looks okay.
Well, yeah, and I think the thing that we were talking about, weren't we, was having that this is still sort of a spike. We've got like a unit test on the model, but we don't have the integration test on the service where we're checking that if
yeah, but I redid it a little bit. All I did was move out the rescue statements to where they should be. So
okay. So now wait a second. So now we've got these.
There's no rescue there, so that each rescue is done in the proper.
Oh, okay. So you did like with the refactoring that we were talking about.
Yeah, it's slightly different, but without using yield. I started using yield, and then I realized that all it needed was this.
Okay. Well, I think you would have been able to reduce the amount of code involved quite significantly if you had used yield. But yes, this also.
Okay. You're right.
This also works. But okay. So now we've got. So we've got this. We've got these two things being called, but the rescue is kind of like internal to these things themselves, and so this is sort of doing the run. Okay.
Get rescued in one spot and over.
Right. But still the integration test. Right, because what we don't have here is we don't have a test that's documenting the nature of the underlying problem, right? Which was the kind of the key problem was that in the past, if there was an error thrown by this, right, this would not run.
That would not exactly.
Right. So what in the the kind of pure cross-moving thing is what we should have is integration tests that basically sets this up so that this will throw an error. Right, and we check that this still gets called. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I don't quite know how to do that. I can
okay.
Simulate throwing an error or actually throwing.
Yeah. I mean, so for example, like
maybe if you just give me a hint.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take this bit.
So I actually tried to do that, but.
Okay, right, yeah. So I mean, say that we've got. I think this is the right thing here. Like, say that we've got this. Oh, go on. Bit of code here. Yeah, there's a new RSpec book out that you.
Yeah, actually, I tried. It's not out yet.
Well, it's in beta, and we've got a discount for you. But that actually is the latest. Is the new version of it that I've got in an alpha that's got the section all of mocking and stubbing. But assuming that we have code like that, so if we've got this method here that this exists in some this is the service, so we've got like what is this is like the class, this is some service, and we've got def run, and we've got
it's actually a module, but I don't know if that
anyway that's sort of that's annoying. Go on, let's go here and hit return. Okay, so we've got something that is the service, and we assume that we've got these methods,
right?
Like this exists here. So, in particular, actually, we want the other one. So I mean, yeah, I mean, if this is too challenging, then maybe it becomes a refactoring ticket about adding that in. But so then if we're in the test. Then what we can say in a test, and considering this we're in RSpec and we're in some kind of block, is that then we can say we can have an expectation on the service, and like assuming that we can get access to an instance of the service, right? So the service, we can expect it to, or actually, for the one if we don't care for this one. No, it's this one. So say that we basically want to make sure that this runs even when this throws an error. So we can, in that context, allow the service to receive that method, right? And do and raise and and throw an error like that, right? So now when we on our service, when we call run, and we also set up an expectation that the service will receive this one, right?
Right.
Without the and raise. So what we're doing is we're saying like, okay, when the service runs, we're actually stubbing out the object under test, which is generally not the ideal thing to do. But in this case, we're basically simulating the case that if this method threw an error.
Oh, great. Right? Yeah, I didn't know how to do that. So.
Here you go. So that's the kind of, I like that there is, the devil can then potentially be in the details, but that's the in principle thing that you want to do is one, allow it to receive and raise a failure, and then set up the expectation that the second method will run and then run the service. And this would be a test that would have failed, right? If we had it in place before, because the rest, these two things had the rescue block wrapped around them. Whereas now, either way around, whether it's the yield or the way that you've done it, whether you've pulled the rescue blocks down into the internals of these two methods, assuming that that's all working properly, this test should pass. And it means that if someone tries to, and we can have here, it's like, we can document and say it ensures that the
that a failure of the first doesn't.
Right, exactly. And so then we've got our explicit documentation saying this was the bug that we fixed, and this is the test that holds that down. And I guess I just, in case I'm making things up, so if we've got like RSpec, raise error. There is, let's find you the documentation. RSpec raise error matcher, and you've got, oh no, that's here. No, this is where you're expecting an error to happen. That's not quite it. RSpec and raise. Raising an error, configuring responses. Yeah, here's the one there. So this thing here, so you can see that this is exactly it.
How to receive and raise. Yeah, I got it.
This is so specifically how to. So here you're like, this is what I was showing. Allow it to receive a method, but when if it does receive that method, now raise the error. So, yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, good luck with have a little twirl on that. If it ends up being like just too much, then maybe create a separate refactoring ticket for it. But see how you go.
No, it's fine. I think I can do it.
Nice one. All right. Thanks, Matt. I'll catch you up later.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Bye now.